Pompeii's last day, everyday life frozen in ash and time. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, and today we're stepping into one of history's most perfectly preserved moments in time. A moment that happened almost 2,000 years ago. A moment that lasted just one day, but froze an entire city, not in ice, but in ash. We're talking about Pompeii. August 24, 79 AD. It started like any other day in this thriving Roman city. The sun rose, merchants opened their shops, children played in the streets, people fell in love, people argued, people ate breakfast. It was an ordinary day in an extraordinary place. By sunset, 16,000 people were dead. The city was buried under 20 feet of volcanic material. And what makes Pompeii so haunting, so fascinating, so important to history is that it was preserved. For nearly 2,000 years, Pompeii slept under the ash. And when we excavated it starting in the 1700s, we didn't just find ruins, we found a time capsule, a window directly into how ordinary Romans actually lived. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to walk through Pompeii on its last day. We'll meet the people who lived there. We'll see how they died. We'll understand what their preserved remains and homes tell us about Roman civilization. And we'll explore why this one catastrophic day tells us more about ancient Rome than any history book ever could. This is Pompeii. This is the day that changed history by ending it. Part 1. Before the volcano. Life in Pompeii. What was Pompeii? Let me set the scene. It's early August in 79 AD. Pompeii is a bustling Roman city on the coast of the Bay of Naples in what's now modern-day Italy. To understand Pompeii, you have to understand that it wasn't Rome. Rome was the capital. Rome was the power. But Pompeii was successful, thriving, probably better than Rome in many ways. The city had a population of about 20,000 people. That might sound small by modern standards, but in ancient Rome, that made Pompeii significant. It was a commercial hub. The harbor brought merchant ships from across the Mediterranean. Wealthy traders lived there. Politicians operated from there. It was essentially a Roman beach town where rich and powerful people came to relax, do business, and show off their wealth. The city was about 200 years old by 79 AD. It had been rebuilt after an earthquake in 62 AD. Buildings were being renovated, new businesses were opening. There was a sense of optimism, growth. The future looked bright. Most importantly, and this is crucial to understanding what happened, most people had no idea that Mount Vesuvius was a volcano. It had been dormant for hundreds of years. It was just a mountain, a big, peaceful mountain on the horizon. Some locals had heard ancient stories about it being dangerous, but those were legends, old wives' tales. Nobody was worried. Pompeii was a normal Roman city on a normal August day. The kind of day that nobody thinks will be remembered. The kind of day where nothing extraordinary is supposed to happen. That's the setup. Now, let's meet the people. The people of Pompeii. One of the most remarkable things about Pompeii is that we can actually know the people who lived there, not by reading ancient texts, but by seeing their homes, their possessions, their final moments. We can piece together their lives. Let's start with the wealthy. Picture this. You're a successful merchant. You made your fortune trading wine, oil, and grain. You own a beautiful house in the good part of town, not a mansion by today's standards, but large, elegant, with multiple rooms arranged around a central courtyard. The walls are painted with vibrant frescoes, images of gods, nature scenes, erotic imagery that would make a modern person blush. We know these houses existed because we've excavated them. The House of the Veti is one of the most famous. It belonged to two wealthy merchants. The walls still have their original paintings. You can see how these people decorated, what they valued, what made them feel beautiful and sophisticated. These wealthy folks had servants, slaves, technically. They performed all the labor, Cooking, cleaning, running errands. Wealthy Pompeians lived a leisurely lifestyle. They went to public baths, went to the theater, had dinner parties with friends, spent time in the forum conducting business or socializing. Now, the middle class. These were small business owners, bakers, cloth makers, wine sellers, innkeepers, people who worked hard but weren't desperately poor. We can see their homes too, smaller than the wealthy homes, but still respectable, often built as part of their business, a shop on the front, living quarters in the back. One of the most touching discoveries was a bakery. The baker's ovens are still there, perfectly preserved. We can tell he was successful because his equipment was quality, and inside the bakery we found carbonized loaves of bread, still in their baking molds. That baker had finished his work, pulled his bread out of the oven, and was about to serve it to customers when, well, we'll get to that. And then there's the working poor. These people lived in cramped apartments, rooms above shops, rented accommodations. They worked as laborers, construction workers, servants, or in other low-status jobs. Their homes were small, sometimes just 1 or 2 rooms, no running water, very few possessions. Life was hard. But here's what's remarkable. Even the poorest Pompeians had access to public baths. These were incredibly important to Roman life. A trip to the baths was entertainment, sanitation, and social time, all in one. The baths would have been crowded on this day in August. Let's talk about women. We tend to think of Roman women as powerless, and legally they had limitations, but Pompeian women were more independent than we might expect. Some ran businesses, some owned property, some were educated. They participated in religious ceremonies, they had social lives. When we see their remains, preserved in volcanic ash in their final positions, we see them in homes, in the streets, in public spaces. They were out living. There was a brothel in Pompeii, a large one. We know women worked there, not necessarily by choice, many enslaved, but they existed in the public sphere. We also found homes of women who clearly had wealth and status, widows who inherited fortunes, business owners, people with agency. And children. Kids played in the streets. We found traces of their games, toys, chalk marks where they'd played before games. Schools existed. We know this from texts and inscriptions. Childhood was shorter. Kids would start working or apprenticing younger than today, but there was still a period of youth. One of the most heartbreaking discoveries was a young couple found in each other's arms, young enough to be engaged, married, or just in love, frozen in their final moment together. The ash that killed them also preserved them. We can see the exact moment of their deaths. Their bodies had decomposed inside the ash shell, leaving perfect molds. When archaeologists filled these molds with plaster, they recreated the final positions of hundreds of Pompeians. This is what makes Pompeii so powerful. It's not abstract. You can see the faces, or rather the shape of the faces, of people who died 2,000 years ago. You can see terror, resignation, confusion. You can see people holding their children. You can see someone's final act, maybe covering their face, maybe trying to flee. These weren't just statistics. They were people with jobs and dreams and relationships and routines, and in one day, it all ended. August 24, 79 AD. Morning. So, let's walk through that day. Let's start with the morning. The sun is rising over the Bay of Naples. It's August, so it's hot, probably around 75, 80 degrees already. It's going to be a warm day. People are waking up, servants are starting their work, a baker is firing up his ovens, fishermen are heading down to the harbor with their nets, shops are being opened, someone is unlocking their house and sweeping the entrance. It's just like any other day. Let's imagine a few specific scenarios based on what we know about the city. A wealthy woman is waking up in her beautiful home. She's checking her appearance in a bronze mirror. Her servants are bringing her breakfast, bread, cheese, fruit, watered wine. She's planning her day. Maybe she'll go to the baths. Maybe she'll visit a friend. Maybe she has business to conduct. A baker is starting work before dawn. He's been doing this for decades. He knows every person in the neighborhood. He'll know what bread they'll want. He's already fired up the ovens. The heat is intense. He's sweating, but this is his life, his livelihood. He's proud of his bread. A young man, maybe 25 years old, is heading out to the forum. He's a merchant. He needs to meet with other traders, check on his goods, conduct business. He's ambitious. He wants to become wealthy like the established merchants. A mother is waking her children for school. The kids don't want to go. They'd rather play with their friends, but education is important. She's firm. A slave is already at work in a large house. He's been up for hours preparing breakfast, cleaning. His life is not his own, but he still goes through his routine. He still exists, still thinks, still feels. These are the people of Pompeii on the morning of August 24, 79 AD. What's remarkable is that we can infer these scenarios because we've found their homes, their possessions, the objects in their rooms. We found graffiti on walls, ancient advertising, political slogans, romantic declarations. We found thermopolia, essentially fast food restaurants with counters where food was stored. We know what time people ate because we found food remnants. We know what they wore because we found clothing. We know their tools, their jewelry, their furniture. By the morning of August 24, all of this is about to become a time capsule. Please subscribe and share this video. Part 2 is coming.